Wait. If
Welcome
you're
to
gonna
another episode of Hoosier Nerds Podcast with your hosts Mikey, Tim, and the two Chris's. I just blew off Chris right there. What were you gonna say there, Chris?
Coming in on fire.
there's just nothing. I just don't think there's gonna be any structure whatsoever to this episode.
Just
No, this is
two
a freestyle.
fucks to the podcast.
The
Alright,
only
welcome to
structure we got is you two talking about Class Action Park.
the
Other
no
than
plan.
that, we've been on a Star Wars, Star Trek tangent the entire pre-show, so
Okay,
that's what
so
we're going to talk about.
do we want to get Class Action Park out of the way?
Yeah, get it out of the way first, and we'll talk Star Wars and Star Trek because that's all we've been talking about.
Okay, so HBO Max has this documentary called Class Action Park, and it's about this. It's a water park in New York? It was in New
New
York,
Jersey.
New Jersey. 45 minutes out of New York City, and this guy he opens up a water park, and it is the most extreme water park I have ever seen in my life.
I can't remember
And,
his last name. His first name was Gene.
Yep. Oh crap! Hang on. I'm looking it up right now. Um. In fact, in the '90s, late '80s, early '90s, they would shoot Headbangers Ball there, on MTV. That's how bad it was. But like famous people had heard of it, like Johnny Knoxville had heard of it, and Jimmy Kimmel had heard of
he
it.
did a movie on it, didn't he? Isn't that one Johnny Knoxville movie based on it?
I'll have to look up. Gene
Yeah.
Mulvihill was the entrepreneur
yeah.
who started this one. He had a water slide. It was a tube that did a loop, like
Oh my
a
God.
full loop, and like people were getting injured in this loop because the aerodynamics weren't right on this. It was like they took crayons and developed.
They had no engineers. I think they actually said in the documentary that he showed up to wherever work with a loop drawn on a napkin and said, "Make this."
And they would just make it,
And they just made it. And then what he would do is he would stand at the bottom with $100 bills, and whatever 14, 15, 16-year-old employee was brave enough to go down and test this ride, he would give him $100. Well, the first person that went down that loop, went through whatever, was a little like banged up, and they did a couple more. Then like the fourth, fifth, sixth person were coming out like bleeding and cut up, and they couldn't figure out why. And they go and check in through the top, and the first couple people had lost teeth. And the teeth were stuck in the. First of all, they built all this stuff out of PVC pipe. So in the summer, when PVC pipe gets hot and expands, all of the rides just like fell apart pretty much with people on them.
They send people
Like
through.
this-
And they would come out with their teeth missing. Then they'd send more people through, and they come up with scrapes because the teeth were embedded in the top of this loop. That's how bad it was.
This park was made by me. It was made by essentially the three of us, and at least we would have some sort of intelligence on, like, physics and somewhat engineering. And then it was run by what is essentially children. You would get your working permits at 14. Everybody who was anybody would go work at this park. It was a rite of passage, pretty much, they said. And it was run by what is children.
By kids, yeah. I mean, like this, and they would. It got to the point where they hated to work there, but they would go back to work there because that's how crazy of a place this was. They had what was it, a 25-foot drop off a cliff that you would just jump off this
a cliff jump.
and there would be
and it was
people
like
at the
children,
bottom,
like, just swimming.
just swimming, and the lifeguards would just kind of watch and not pay attention. Was it like 4 or 5 people were killed at this park?
Yeah,
in 18 years.
2 of them in a wave pool, and like one of the guys in the documentary said, you know, you don't really feel bad for the first person. You feel bad for the second person, because you should never be the second person to die in a wave pool. Because after the first one dies, you should reevaluate the
The
wave
wave
pool
pool. So
that break
so this is
new
what they would do.
lifeguards in.
So
They would stick
because
them in the death chair, and that's where people would like get towed under, and it was like right about at shoulder height, they said. And every like 10 or 15 minutes, they would have to literally shut down the
they
wave
would shut
pool
down the wave pool so lifeguards could look because the
to
water was
see if there was
murky
any,
to see if there
see if
was
there was any
anybody at the bottom of the
bodies.
pool.
Holy shit.
Like this was a literal no rules park. Like that at the bottom of slides, people would be like bumping into each other and stuff. So there'd be like fights breaking out the town, and this is all in like a little small town. They didn't have enough ambulances to the police force and ambulances were essentially just working at Class Action Park.
And
They would
they
just
said
take
that the
calls
kids would
all day.
even say, like people who went to the park, they would, you know, something would happen to a kid, and they would bring out a backboard and they would immobilize him and, you know, immobilize his neck and everything, and they would load him up in the ambulance in the middle of the park, and they just kept on going and kept riding and riding and
Yep.
riding.
It was just a
And that,
normal occurrence.
it was just a normal occurrence. They didn't know any better. And so they had two different sides of the park. They had the water park, and then they had the motorsports park. Well,
On
they
the other
sold
side of
on
the
on
highway,
the other side of the interstate.
highway, the
On the
main
other side of the highway.
highway.
So these people would go there and they served alcohol.
Oh yeah, so
So
these people would get
these people
shit
would drink
faced
and
and
shit
then
face.
go
And then they
drive
go
these
ride the
cars
go-karts.
that could reach speeds up to 60 miles an hour when you took off
Holy
the speed
shit.
governor.
Yeah, they could take. Yeah, they
So
figured
they
out how to
would
take
take
the
the
governor off,
highway.
and they would run them down the highway.
Like no
God.
rules is the like epitome of this park because there was nobody to. There was
I mean,
no adults. It was all
they would
children.
they would party together after hours. They were sleeping together. They were
They said
these
every
14-year-old
summer
15-year-old kids were getting drunk and high and
at the end of every summer, they would collect. They would take all of the money that they collected throughout the summer, like in the pools that they found and in like the slides and stuff like that, and would throw like one hell of a banger that like
then
lasted
so
all
this
night long, and they would all just get shit faced and pass out at the park, and
and
then just wake up the next day and go back to work.
this is how seedy this Gene Mall Hillville was. Okay, so um, there's that Alpine slide in Gatlinburg, right? Yeah, you've been to Gatlinburg and seen the Alpine
Yeah.
slide with the concrete
Oh,
track.
that's
Right?
fun.
Yeah, so they had one there, but they were so the carts were so crappy. Like some of the brakes didn't work.
Oh my god.
That's
So
the
this
one that
night,
the guy
so
died
this
on.
19-year-old kid, yeah, this 19-year-old kid died on one. So his brake wasn't working, so he flew over. He basically flew over an embankment and hit his head on a bunch of rocks outside of the
Oh, this
the
is-
ride. So they tried to sue the parents tried to sue. They only got $100,000 or $130,000 out of the
because
lawsuit because it wasn't the ride's fault that he had passed away. It was the fact that he hit his head on the rocks outside of the
and the same
outside.
thing could happen to you riding a bike.
That yeah, you can do that riding a bike.
So
You
it's
can-
not so the ride's not unsafe.
So they
What was it?
argued the kid killed himself, basically, not the ride.
It was just due to negligence because he could have done that riding a bicycle or walking down the street and hitting his head on a rock. That's how crappy this
From the
this-
moment I saw that woman in the green shirt, I already knew that she was going to be like a mother of a victim or something.
Yeah,
Because the whole time up until like they really talk about it at like 20 or 25 minutes left in the documentary, uh all they use is like one line excerpts from it's like he was a piece of shit.
yeah.
He didn't care about anybody. This was awful for the city. Like it was just all negative one line things, and I was like, oh, she's the family member of somebody that died.
I mean, he was kind of a genius sleazebag because,
He
like,
was
okay, so
100%
the
a
state,
genius.
the,
I
the
mean, you have
state,
to be a genius to be
the
such a.
state, the state owned the property, right? And so he just quit paying to the state. He quit paying to the state, quit paying to the state, and what they ended up doing because he had to follow all the state regulations because it was on state property. So to get around it, he quit paying the state and just being a pain in the ass, major pain in the
How
ass to the whole state. So they ended up selling the property to him just to get him out of their hair, and that's
How
how he
about
got away with it.
he needed insurance for the park for his lease? He
Yeah,
needed insurance, and he didn't believe in insurance. He believed that if you got hurt somewhere, that
it
it's
was on
your
your own.
responsibility, that you should be the one to pay for it.
So
So
he
instead of
created.
him, he went and created an offshore bank account in the Cayman Islands, used that to fund a fake insurance company, and insured himself with his own fake insurance company. This
It's
dude,
one of the most amazing
this
documentaries and
dude
stories
knew
I've ever heard.
all of the tricks and
The
I don't
loopholes
even
and
know. I don't know if not paying is a loophole though. Aside from just
well,
what this reminded me of, because all I was thinking was like the whole thing is this little this I want to call it a village essentially. This little town can't really do anything because it was essentially a casino, and you can't shut down a casino in a small town because where does 90% of that town's revenue come
right,
from?
right, and that was
That
the problem. Yeah,
from
this
that
town,
water
the town didn't want it to. They wanted it
that
to close, but they couldn't get it to
they
close.
couldn't
Basically,
because it reminded me of don't know if this is exactly the same thing, but is this the name of the movie Walking Tall with The Rock and that casino in his
Yeah.
town, and it's like wicked corrupt and stuff like
yeah,
that. Like there's talks of that Mulville guy was, in connections with people from the mob.
yeah. They said he had mob connections, which is very possible.
I mean, everybody in the 70s and 80s, I'm
I
sure.
mean,
Like, all
well,
the
especially in that area.
all the higher, especially in that area.
But I
Hey,
mean, like
anybody see
somebody got
Jimmy
electrocuted
with
in the
water
bumper pool.
shoes,
Was it
Jimmy?
was it the bumper pools? The bumper or
No, somebody
the
got
bumper boats?
like it's not. They weren't even bumper boats. They were speed
They
boats.
they
First of
had
all,
speed. They had
they were
bumper
straight up
boats, but
Miami
they had
Vice speed boats.
and you did three
What?
laps like a go kart.
Yeah, and somebody got like flipped over in one by accident, and I guess there's little fans underneath the river. What is a river
Yeah,
essentially?
keep the water
To
flowing that direction.
to help the water flow. And somebody flipped over, and then while they were flipped over, one of them short circuited, or they touched it, or something happened, and they got electrocuted to
Yeah,
death.
exposed the electricity underneath. But the amazing part was no, the electricity wasn't grounded, so it was not even wired properly.
It was just in the water.
It was just in the water.
He
But there
How
was
he,
much cocaine was running through this
he
place?
built this like essentially in. First of all, I didn't know my vision of New Jersey. Sorry, anybody from New Jersey watching this, is a shithole. It is not a nice place. View of New Jersey whenever
I'm
I picture it.
sure there's a
It
nice
I mean,
parts of
all
New
we
it's
have
not,
is Jersey
but,
Shore in this.
but then
Boardwalk Empire.
in this documentary, I saw that they built this on a beautiful property. Like this
Yeah,
is a
it was a
beautiful
state
area.
park and ski area,
He
and
didn't even have to do much. He like used the natural one of the in that cliff jump thing that they were
yeah,
talking about. There was the people that worked there said that there was dead fish and dead fish in the
yeah,
water.
because it was a spring. It was like
It
68
was a natural
degrees,
spring.
natural spring
So
water.
you would jump into this water thinking it was like bath water, and it was like ice cold. So people would go in. I'm sure you guys know when you jump into a pool from high up, you're a little disoriented when you hit the water. Let alone if that water is Arctic, uh, like water, and the people would come up and they'd have to save people all the time, and then they would put a even better. They would put This is something that stems from kids running a park. They would put a wristband on you if
Oh,
you were
yeah.
already saved once that said CFS. And I'm going to try to keep it PG here. And it stood for Can't Blankin' Swim.
Swim.
And they would literally put it on your wrist. So there was people if you can't blanket swim, you shouldn't be at a water park jumping in pools that are 20 feet deep.
20 feet deep.
It's ridiculous. I couldn't even imagine. Like, that's definitely something the kids thought of. Was like, hey,
that was genius. That was a genius.
every time we find somebody, every time we save somebody, want to put this bracelet on them that tells everybody that they're stupid and can't swim.
They can't swim. But they would have like a water slide, and it was like an open slide, but they wanted to make it kind of like
I forgot.
It had lumps in it, so it would go up and down, right? These people would go so fast they would catch air, and they would be like 8 feet in the air.
Well,
now imagine going down a water slide and shooting up 8 feet in the air and then coming back down on like
it shot out of the side of a mountain. Oh, it wasn't like a mountain per se, but you go around this slide. It's like pitch black, and it's going left and right, and you don't know what's going on. Then all of a sudden, one of the people were like, you'd hear, no, oh! And you'd be like, oh my God, what's going on? And then you see a light at the end of the tunnel, and this thing would just like literally shoot you out of the tube, like, and be in midair, 10 feet off of the ground.
Remember that part in the Goonies when they go down the slide before they get to the pirate ship and they shoot out into the water?
Into the lake.
That's exactly what it was like.
Exactly what it is. Yep. They were just like,
just like, I like that. Make me it.
He said that people would design him things, and then he would change them while he wanted to make things more extreme, more like
they would build something, right? So they would build something, and they'd have of course we talked about they had the employees like test it out. So they would like test it out, and they would get hurt or whatever. So then he would get mad because they would have to turn the water pressure down, so like the rafts or whatever wouldn't move as fast.
They had this one that it was like a little slide that so picture you like go down the slide and you come up a little bit and then you go down. One of those ones that you'd ride like a mat down, like a rubber mat one, like a racing one kind of. So he had one of those, but he wanted you to catch air slightly. So he wanted like you to essentially like land on the pad like near the end. So you would go down, you'd go off the first jump, catch a little air, go off the second jump, catch a little air, and you'd land on the slide like further down. Well, sure enough, one kid decided that they didn't know how he did it, but I'm assuming he probably took like a very big running start and decided to get more air than anybody had previously gotten before, himself? And flew off of this cliff, not into his doom, but just about to his doom.
They had another one. It was like
I will say I love the animation in this.
Right.
It was very.
They have one. It's like a giant raft. Where you put like 6 people in it and you ride.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so instead of it being like you would have like at Holiday World down in Santa Claus or whatever, and you sit in this thing and you go down this nice little slide. It was like a rocky terrain underneath.
He wanted to make it class 4 rapids.
Yeah, like a real raft.
Extreme, so he had to bring it down to class.
It would get to a point in this thing where instead of bouncing off and continuing on, it would just bounce off and they would stay there. So then you would see more people with rafts, and they would just plow into these people.
Yeah, because the teenagers at the top were just like, go.
People would fall out of the raft and into the water. So these people are running people over.
People get like slammed into the wall, like pretty much getting drowned because another raft is coming in on top of you while you're trying to flip your raft back over.
There was a quote from a guy in the movie, and I think he worked at the park, and he said, "It's an '80s movie that was real life, and it's something that will never happen again."
Yeah.
And I couldn't think of a more perfect quote for this water park. I mean, I've been to water parks. I've been
Kings
to
Island.
I've never been to Kings Island, but I went to like Wet and Wild when Wet and Wild had it in Florida. That was a huge water park. I've been to Typhoon Lagoon at Disney World, and actually down in Westfield there was a place we called it 3J's, but I think it was called Thunder Island, and it was a water park and go-kart track, and back in the 80s, and I had been to it, but nothing I've never seen anything as extreme.
I want to know
as-
how many people got like AIDS from this park. It was just like blood,
Hepatitis.
like
I mean,
floating in the water. Like, I mean, I know for like, like there was no chlorine in that water. Nowadays
No.
in water parks, there's, a fair, I would say more than a fair amount of chlorine to stop,
that
if
was the
somebody
problem.
gets
That was the
cut
problem
or
with the wave.
something.
That was the problem with the wave pool, because it got murky and they couldn't see.
Yeah,
Because
it was like
it didn't have,
literally,
it was
it
like
was, I
pond
think they
water.
said a mix of, hey, you can keep it clean, okay? It's nice. It was a mix of blood, suntan lotion, and I think they said runoff from a nearby stream, which already means that you're not completely cemented in. Oh, and the best thing is that this whole entire park, was made with blacktop. So imagine on
Yeah,
hottest day
everything
in
that you want.
Jersey, if you didn't wear those little flip flops. I think they said they had a name
Flip
for
flops
it.
or swim
It
shoes.
was
Yeah.
like shredded meat feet or something like that. People would, you could tell, like they'd be like running around because they couldn't stand on the
Yeah,
on the blacktop.
on the blacktop. It was all in blacktop. Yeah.
There's actually a park in Pennsylvania called Dorney Park. It's a
Right.
really good park, but it's also made on entirely blacktop. And I was 14 when I first went, and I thought, whose stupid idea was this
A
to
lot of them are that way.
like literally a whole park
Isn't
in
isn't Kings Island like the main
I think I
ride
was
part?
thinking Holiday Park is too down in Santa Claus.
Yeah. All right, guys. How did it do? Now let's not say how it ended, because
It doesn't, and I mean they ended up because so much happened. They ended up closing the park. So it was open from like 78 to I think 96 was when they closed it.
that long.
Yeah, but the ones in I think by 94, 95 it
92.
started kind of wavering and people
Yeah,
quit
I think
going, and
92.
People got
They said
smart.
it was the height was the 80s, of course,
essentially, yeah.
because these kids, you drop your kids off, they're gone for the day, all summer, all day, every day at
Well,
the summer this water
They were
park.
saying like,
So why not?
like parents didn't like back then, like parents didn't know. Like you just come home at 8 o'clock. They didn't know
And
where
you
you
know what?
were. One guy said that
Being a child of the 80s, that is true.
one guy said he left his house, met up his friends, and then rode their bikes 15 miles to the park. Would spend all day at the park, ride back 15 miles, and come home, and his parents never knew.
I could be gone all day, and I could eat lunch, go outside, be gone until 5 o'clock because I somehow knew biological clock knew when dinner time was. Go home and eat, and then get right back out. And I would be out till in the summer, especially in the summertime, 8 o'clock at night, easy. And my parents never knew where I was. I could be on the other side of the neighborhood. I was down in the creek. I was in the woods. I was everywhere. But my parents never want. We didn't have cell phones. Where are you at? And like my parents, I don't even think they even cared. We were just gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
that's a total
carry
80s
cell
move.
phone around in a briefcase. Who wants to carry one?
Right. Well, I mean, we didn't have the pedophile trouble and the kidnapping and the sex trafficking trouble that we do now. So, yeah, it was a free for all back in the 80s. It was a great time to be a kid.
Well, you probably had all those issues. They just weren't as public.
Well-
yeah, because nobody knew, nobody could prove anything because not everybody has a camera now.
Well,
Or
true.
then
I mean, I never ran into any of that here, but this is Indiana where things kind of
Oh.
slow. So
That's
But-
what you remember, at least. All right, well, honestly, I need to go watch this.
I mean, I
looked it up.
I would
It's
give
on
it a
HBO.
solid. I would give it a solid like 8 out of 10.
Yeah, easy.
I definitely,
I've ever
I
seen.
definitely enjoy for someone who's not one to like sit down and watch like a movie or like a documentary, something like that. This was 100% kept my attention for pretty much the whole movie until it got to the sob story at the end, and then it slowed down, and then it kind of finished off nice. I
Has
feel like it
anyone
would have been. I know they needed to put a sob story in there, but it kind of like slowed the documentary down a little bit.
has anyone seen the Johnny Knoxville Action Point?
Yeah, I
it's
saw it.
yeah, it's
Action
based
Point,
yeah,
yeah.
it's loosely. I would say it's based
It's
on
called
that.
Action Point.
Yeah,
Isn't there another movie about kids at a water park, like running a water park? And I
Oh,
can't think.
is it Adventureland?
Adventureland. Yes, that's what it's called. Oh my God,
A
Chris, do
Daredevil designs off his own theme park with his
you have
friends.
any brain
Action
space
Point.
for anything else?
I'm gonna have to check this out.
Yeah, I think Mikey's right. Action Point's loosely based off of it.
I would think so. Name's so close.
it is. And he did Johnny Knoxville did an interview with Jimmy Kimmel, and I think they talked
They
about
talked
that.
about the park. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did in the. They actually show that interview, like a little bit of it in the.
In the documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay then.
So
The movie was not that bad, but it was not.
What Action
It was like
Point?
while I
Yeah.
was watching it, I was like, "Damn, this would make like a good story for like a movie, like a bunch of kids, even like a TV show, bunch of kids like running this park, like doing all this crazy shit. I feel like it would make a really good TV show." And then I was like, "Isn't there a movie about kids at a water park, Adventureland?" But
Adventureland's
still-
a theme. That's about a
It's
theme
a-
park though.
yeah, it's a theme park. I think it would be a cool TV show. So any big producers out there watch the podcast.
Yeah, Adventureland's got Jesse Eisenberg in it, Kristen
Hmm.
Stewart, and Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, young baby Ryan Reynolds. I'm pretty sure he's like a little boy.
Bill Hader's in it too. When did this come out? This came out in 2009.
Oh, maybe not.
So, yeah. Class action
Adventureland was
park,
actually
you gotta
really
watch
good. I
Is
thought
it?
at least. Yeah. It was a nice high school movie.
well, this is a true life high school movie, like I said.
Yeah, right. This was a middle school movie. Are you
And
kidding me?
you know what? That's the type of I would if had I lived close to there in the 80s, I would have been there every day. That's no
I would've
doubt.
went.
And if I'd have seen people
100%.
hauled out on the ambulance, I'd have been like, oh well,
Yeah.
that kid's stupid. Then he did something stupid.
So
But
me,
that
I
was
would have
like
went
the-
once.
That was
and
like the
freaked out
allure
and
of the
went.
park. Was like you went because you could. It wasn't like one of the people like put it into like good words like you go to an amusement park. It's like a thrill. You get like that excitement of danger, but you know that unless there's some sort of catastrophic failure, you're not gonna die on any ride in or get hurt or anything on any
It's
ride
controlled. It's
in
controlled fear.
any amusement park. But at this park, you went knowing that you could leave in a body bag. You could literally not survive this.
And if you
This
didn't,
water-
if you went to like the cliff or the rope jump or whatever, because they had one that you just Tarzaned out into this water.
just the people couldn't hold their own body weight. I was
Yeah, they
picturing
couldn't hold their own body weight. They would just fall off as soon as they.
larger than life
As they
people
launched it,
trying to swing more than they could and just tumble down into the water.
If you didn't like go immediately, that was it. You name calling, pussy.
Oh
go.
no, they
It
They
was
said
awful.
even before you would just be like standing there on the edge, and even
Yeah.
like when you jumped in, the water would be ice cold, so you'd like need a second to catch your breath, like figure out your bearings, get your bearings, and you would just be like, "Pussy,
Get out of the way!
bitch, get out of
Incoming
the
the
water!"
next kid to knock you out.
And that's what would happen.
Literally, and
They would
there was
go
there's
right
no
afterwards.
lifeguards.
There was
There's no
lifeguard.
lifeguards. These lifeguards are kids, so they're just standing there swinging their whistles if there's even a lifeguard there. So they were just literally policing themselves over how fast to jump. So people were just like jumping and jumping. And, every once in a while, like a girl would jump and they'll lose their top. Then like all 400 people would like lose their mind. Every
Yeah, they
once
would
in a
just
while, people would
cheer.
jump in and they wouldn't cross their arms, which I never thought of is why you should why this is why they tell you to cross your arms when you like are at water parks and certain rides. These kids would jump in with their arms over their head, like doing crazy things. Oh, like sometimes people would do flips and moon the people waiting, or
Yeah, they're like, no, no
hold
flips.
their
They would
pants
flip.
down and show their uh member,
Their junk.
and so they would jump in with like their arms over their head, and they would come up out of the water with with one shoulder like 6 inches lower than the other, because they just dislocated their shoulder,
God damn.
which I never thought of. That's why you should they tell you to cross your arms.
I never
'Cause
thought
the
about that either, but the water would catch it and
Yeah.
snap.
would push your arm, so people would come up. Now I can only imagine jumping into a pool of freezing cold water. Now you have now you have a dislocated shoulder and you're 7, 8 feet underwater. You sure as hell ain't using that dislocated shoulder to swim anywhere. So you're gonna be one arm trying to swim up to the surface of the water, and then guess what happens? You get saved, and they're gonna slap that wristband on
That's
you.
right. And then you're gonna be called names the whole time because you.
Well, it was Jersey, so I'm sure they were for each other anyways. People were probably getting called pussy long before they jumped into the water.
So check it out. HBO Max, Class Action Park. It's a can't miss documentary.
Definitely can't miss.
I don't know if we can go anywhere after that one. That was electric.
It was electric. Somebody got electrocuted.
If I was standing right to the slide right now. 2 people got electrocuted, I think.
Yeah, there were 2 electrocutions, 2 drownings, and the guy, hit the rocks. So it was like 5 deaths, I think.
I think. Oh, another thing is there was a ski lift that went over one of the slides.
Oh yeah, they took you on a ski lift and you held your cart. You held onto your cart to get up to the thing, and you drive. And these dumbasses would drop their carts on purpose on people on the bottom.
So they would. So you'd be going down. It wasn't like the water slide. It was like the little like go-kart racing kind of, but it wasn't a go-kart. It was like just like a board.
It was the
with a
Alpine
little
slide.
on it. Yeah, the Alpine slide. So like people were going down this Alpine slide, and they would get another Alpine slide board dropped on their head.
Because if like they I think they connected on the side of the ski lift, but if you moved or adjusted, it would drop it. And kids would do it on purpose.
There was a little hook on the side, but it was a little hook that the slide was hanging on. So the guy said all it would take is like a little bit of a nudge with your elbow, which wasn't all that uncommon to happen. And sure enough, the slide would drop. I would have to say at least 20 to 30 feet onto somebody. It was at least a 20, 30-foot drop.
It is the Wild West of water parks, literally.
West of New Jersey. Coincidentally, it was probably on the east of New Jersey, but still.
It was on the east of New Jersey. It was 45 minutes from New York City. So,
well, since that took a while, I didn't think that would take 33 minutes or however long it was.
sorry, I mean.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good.
It was so good. I'm sorry.
So let's push back our Star Trek and Star Wars talk, and let's go to our old faithful. What have we been watching? And talk about it a little bit. I'll lead us off.
I've been watching Class Action Park, and I think it's
other than Class Action Park, because I don't know if we can survive another 30 minutes of that talk. I might dislocate an arm or something.
It's the TK podcast.
I started watching a show called Lucifer on Netflix. They just dropped a new season. It's not a Netflix show, but it's on Netflix.
Right.
It's about Lucifer. He came up from hell to take a vacation, and now he just wants to stay in LA because he runs a nightclub, and he solves crimes with the LAPD, and it's all about him trying to get back at God, you know, because he's not actually a bad guy. It's that people made him a bad guy. He just punishes the bad people. He's not actually causing them, to do bad stuff, and he's tired of that image, and he's trying to like reinvent himself. It's a really good show. It's funny. It kind of makes you think. Like it's made me think about religion and stuff. Not gonna go into it, but it just made me think about it.
Ugh.
And it's just it's a really funny and good crime. If you're looking for a good crime show, it's a good crime show.
Brad
Did-
Brad loves that show.
Oh gosh. Does he do like deals? Like
Yeah, he does like
yeah.
deals.
Okay, because I know like in Supernatural, like demons and stuff, they do those deals, and I didn't know
Well, it's
if
not
they
like
kind of.
it's not like a Supernatural where in 10 years I'm gonna come get your soul. He
Yeah.
does a deal just to help people.
Lucifer helping
But
people.
of course, he always gets something in return that helps.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But like helping people, like, so getting back at God. Do you mean like he's preventing people from dying that should be dying,
So
and that's his
the season
his
I'm
revenge?
watching, the season I'm watching right now, the subplot is him trying to help Cain kill himself because Cain killed Abel and Cain wants to die because he's been on Earth since forever. So he's like, this is like the proverbial loogie in God's face if I can kill Cain.
Is that a real story?
Cain was the first murderer according to the Bible. Cain killed
Oh,
his
I
brother
mean,
Abel.
the fact that he's quote unquote still alive. Is
Yeah,
that
Cain
a real
in the Bible, Cain was marked by God to
to live
walk
forever?
the earth for the rest of time.
I did not know that.
So is
very
that like a punishment from God? That's like a punishment from God.
Yeah, it's like a
because he killed. Yeah. Okay.
because he was the first one to kill another human.
So that's why he's like, he wants to help kill Cain. So
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, I get it. Okay.
Meanwhile, somewhere else in the world, go kill your son. But go ahead.
But it's a really good show. I think there's like 5 seasons on Netflix, and it's still going. I think it's at a USA show. Let me look this
Yeah,
up
I
really
think-
quick.
Yeah, it is the USA show. I
It's-
believe so.
I'm not big on a lot of USA shows, but this
Some
one's
of my
actually
favorite
pretty good.
shows came out of USA.
My main problem with the USA shows are they're
They
kind of
just got
cheesy.
canceled.
What just got canceled?
I just feel like a lot of USA shows get canceled.
They do, like
Yeah.
Franklin and Bash,
Bec-
and that was a good one.
because they. Oh my God! With the Franklin and Bash, go take a nap.
That was a good show.
Because they always just fall back on there, which I mean, I'm always down to watch is Law and Order. Like something doesn't have as good of ratings as people enjoy just watching. I mean, it's ridiculous, but people like enjoy things that they know. Like I watch
Yeah.
the same episodes. Like every night, I watch the same episodes of Adventures of Gumball before I fall asleep. Don't know why? It's
Okay,
literally
now
the same
This
like 10
literally
episodes that I
explains
fall
so
asleep.
much right now.
It's a great show, and I will argue
No,
that
no, 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 no.
Adventures
You're
of
you're
Gumball.
right. You're right because I watch The Big Bang Theory every single
No.
day religiously.
It's or like American Dad, Family Guy, South Park. Like I would much rather watch something that I know the words to and I know word for word than go and watch something that I've never seen before. Then I watch something new.
You're right.
I'd
You're right. I
rather-
watched that, and I mean, if you go back, like, okay, I was watching South Park last night, and it was the one with the conjoined fetus.
Every episode of
Oh my God,
we're
I
gonna
was
have to-
dying laughing.
we
I
used to
forgot how
do,
funny that episode was.
I don't know if you guys would be interested, but we should do an entire episode just on South Park. I'm telling you right now that I pretty much know every single thing about South Park except the I really would love to see it one day is episode 200 and 201 because they're
Okay.
not on they're taken off of who or they were taken off of everything because of them showing Muhammad for I think
Oh, I remember remember that episode.
a
I
quarter
saw
of a
that
second.
episode.
A quarter of a second.
That's because they said they were gonna. Didn't they get like bomb threats because they were making
Yeah.
fun of Muhammad?
There was actually a bomb threat in
200
front of their office.
What
in
season
Colorado.
was that?
201. I believe it was season. It's in season 12 or 13, because in the episode Cartoon Wars, they did Cartoon Wars Part 1 and Part 2 a few seasons later, and they show Mohammed without really showing Mohammed because they block him out at the end. They put a big black square and says like Comedy Central has declined to show Mohammed blah blah blah.
Uh,
Was season 12?
I think it was. I'm almost positive it was
No,
like
I think it
12.
was a little later season because I know also in season 2, in the episode 200, they also went really into Tom Cruise again. And Tom Cruise was not happy about it because Tom Cruise is a fudge packer.
That's right. I remember that. How many episodes were there? There were about 18 episodes a season. So
Now it's like 5 episodes. a
Oh,
season.
not necessarily, because some of the episodes are different. Hold on, I pretty much I can find it. Let me see. Is it in this
yeah,
one? With
see,
the,
episode 14's only or season 14's only 13 episodes.
yeah, certain ones are.
P. Fish sticks.
He's such a good movie. Such a good episode. The water, everything is pee. The water you drink, it
The-
comes from the ocean.
the
Fish
great one
pee
when-
in the ocean.
It was great when Cartman was trying to figure out who his dad was.
Oh, right here. Season
Dude,
season
it's
14
season- No, oh, it's
episode. No, season 14 episodes 5 and 6 are 200 and 201, because on HBO Max it jumps from
it
episode
goes from
4
4,
to
6, and
episode
7
7.
to 7. There it is.
Yep, there. Because I remember not long ago I was watching South Park and I like happened to notice that it jumped from 4 to 7, and I was like, "What
How
the
does
hell?"
that happen? Especially
I
on
was-
HBO.
I was like, "This is bullshit," and I went and looked it up, and sure enough, there was 2 episodes. Like in a quiz, a South Park quiz I took, it was like, "Who is Cartman's father?" And sure enough, Cartman's father is his mother. From
Yes.
that, Cartman's mom is a dirty slut. The
Oh,
last
shit.
episode of the first season.
Of the first season,
And-
yes.
Then later on in 200 and 201, you find out that it's Scott Tenorman's dad is
Oh.
really his dad. So that means Cartman, in a different episode, Scott Tenorman Must Die, made Scott Tenorman eat his parents,
So
got
he
his
killed his
parents-
dad.
I remember
Popped
Scott
up
Tenorman Must Die.
chili. And so Cartman made Scott Tenorman eat their father. I was like, what? This is ridiculous. So I would love to see that, and I've never seen a South Park movie.
If you've never seen the South Park movie, oh
seen
my
South
god,
Park.
it is my favorite episode of the first season because I remember this. So season 1 ended right. We didn't know who Cartman's dad was, so they were going to
Cartman's
tell
mom
you who.
is-
They were going to
What,
tell
the-
you who. They were going to tell you who Cartman's dad was, right? So
And
then
instead, they come with the April Fool's joke.
it was
It
April Fool's Day,
April-
yeah, and it was Terrence
Yeah.
and Philip, not without my anus.
Yes,
And that is one of the
good
funniest
episode.
freaking episodes.
I love that episode.
Like Comedy Central got like phone calls, like people were pissed. You're supposed to show us this episode, and this is the crap you give it. Like people were cussing out South, like, and Comedy Central would play the recordings of people calling in complaining.
I
So they
remember
had
that.
to
I was
show
young.
episode-
His father. Is it
they had to
the
show episode 2.
Green Bay Packers?
No, it was the
Football
it was
team?
94
Whatever.
Denver Broncos.
The 94 Denver Broncos?
Oh man. I didn't watch too much this week. I got into horror movies. I watched The Exorcist, which is still a good movie. And I mean, I would say it's controversial by today's standards still. I mean, based on our whole woke culture that's going on. Right now, it's
Everything's
controversial.
offensive or controversial.
And then I watched the
nature.
reboot of Nightmare on Elm Street with Jackie Earl Haley, who played Kelly in the original Bad News Bears. Kelly Lee. He was Kelly Lee. So he played Freddy Krueger. Now, I don't. Apparently, they made this movie with the intent of sequels, but it did so poorly that they scrapped the sequels completely. Which I don't understand why they rebooted Nightmare on Elm Street anyway. Um, it's not a horrible movie. Jackie Earle DeHaley does a great job as Freddy Krueger, and instead of a child murderer, he's a pedophile. He's a child molester, and that's why they do what they do to him. And he goes after the kids he molested. And but I don't understand the reboot of the new Nightmare on Elm Street, and I can understand why they didn't make a sequel to it because it is not. I mean, it got the Robert Englund Freddy Krueger's got humorous after a while. The first one's pretty
Yeah.
creepy, but they made his makeup's completely different. He's a whole different version of Freddy Krueger. It's not a bad Freddy Krueger version. I wouldn't say that it's horrible. It's just it was in that whole genre of that whole time frame, should I say, of they were doing reboots. And like they did a reboot of Friday the 13th, which was kind of unnecessary.
What, you mean when they put out like 9 Halloweens?
Hey, shut up! Those Halloweens are good. But
Halloween,
this is what happened.
Halloween 7, Halloween 8 are good movies.
I think what happened was Rob Zombie did Halloween, which when he did it, that was
explained it.
that was great because he told the whole backstory of Michael Myers as a kid and why he was the way he was. And, that's why he became the killer that he was. So that was successful. So I think that's what they were counting on when they did these reboots of Freddy Krueger and Jason. And it just didn't, fans just didn't go for it. So they just kind of killed the whole, which
I wonder if there's going to be another, because like Freddy versus Jason was like the 80s, 90s, or like 80s, 90s villain fight or whatever. Then I feel like you have Alien versus Predator to counter that as the next generation's two opposing forces. So I wonder what the next opposing force will be.
Darth Vader versus a Borg. I don't know.
It
Win every single time.
Wrong.
Then they put all these
100%.
characters in like
One
Mortal
Vader
Kombat
versus a whole
too.
Borg cube.
Yeah, they are. Since
What else?
they're all owned by like WB, they're all in Mortal Kombat. So you can.
Or wait, we could do like most hated people. So you could do like Wesley Crusher against Jar Jar Binks.
Wait,
I'm just throwing that out there.
Like, who do you hate more, or who's better?
I don't. I hate Jar Jar Binks. Wesley Crusher, I think, got a lot of unnecessary hate.
Yeah,
but
Crusher got a lot of unnecessary.
I'm just going by.
I like Crusher. He does the thing in Picard. He does the little the little Talking Dead-esque thing for Picard.
We're not the Wesley Crushers. We're the Wesley Crushers. Nobody saw that episode from Big Bang Theory.
All right, Mikey, what have you been watching?
About the only thing I've watched this past week is Legend of Korra.
There you go.
Yeah, it's.
Oh yeah, I
good.
forgot that you want Uga or whatever better than Appa.
Oh, it's Oogie.
Whatever. It doesn't matter. Not better than Appa, okay?
Yeah.
So what is this? What is the city of Korra? The what?
No, it's like the
Legend.
Airbender.
Have you ever seen Avatar?
Avatar.
The one
It's
with the
just
guy
like-
with the arrow on his head?
Yes.
Not the movie. No, not the movie.
I watched the movie
Not
on
the
Riff
movie.
Tracks. With
No,
the movie,
no,
the movie never happened.
Oh no. We don't talk about the movie.
I mean, I didn't remember Korra because I've only watched the series like once, but like when it come on Netflix, I just realized how much I like it more than the original. It's got a better story and artwork and all that junk. But
isn't it on HBO Max? Legend of Korra?
No, it's on Netflix now.
I think it was.
I think it's on
Hulu too.
Or
but I'm
Hulu.
not sure.
I know I've seen it somewhere, and I don't have Netflix, so I definitely couldn't have seen it on Netflix.
It's on CBS All Access also.
Oh, that's probably where it is. I saw it was CBS.
Because that's where I was watching it.
But like the funny thing about it is like I just started the last season in 4, and it's like I feel like she's just like your classic millennial. Like
So
she's like
Korra's
she gets
Aang's
super
ancestor,
depressed,
right?
and like she has PTSD, of course, and like she even cut her hair, just like most millennials nowadays when they get depressed and they want to change stuff. It's it's so funny just to see kind of like the relatability to it. Like, cause I mean, you can't really if you watch the first season of Airbender with Aang, I mean, it you can't really relate to. I don't think you can relate to much stuff, but when you watch Korra, you're like, oh, okay, I
I
get
mean,
it.
I can
Like,
relate to him the fact that, like, I know how he feels after waking up after a mad long nap or something like that.
yeah, but you can't
Like,
be
what
like, oh,
year
I'm the
is it?
last human or anything. You can't be like, yeah. I mean,
Which
so
Avatar has such a good lore.
yes, yeah,
If I
but
want
They go
anything in a
more.
TV show or a movie or a game or anything, it's lore. The more lore, the further back and forward and side to side that your story is, the more interested I am.
yeah.
I want to be able to trace, like, hey,
Korra.
why did this happen?
In Korra,
I've
they
never
go a
seen
lot more
it
into
before.
the lore
I want to
of
watch
like the
Legend
first
of Korra.
Airbender.
And I like all the villains or the antagonists in every season. I mean, some seasons, of course, are better than others, but they have more motivation and like their motivation is clear to the viewer. The other, other than I don't,
What's the plot of, like, because Aang was obviously trying to rebuild, not rebuild, but
yeah,
was trying to
yeah,
stop the Fire Emperor. It was to learn the other three types
yeah,
of bending
yeah.
and to, which
Yeah,
does
that's
he ever does he ever learn fire bending? I can't remember.
He
yeah, he
does.
does. He learns
He's
from
trying to learn
Zuko
the three
and the
fire
dragons.
bendings, and then he was going to take on the Emperor.
Yeah.
What's the story of Korra?
She basically, I think, well, the first season is her trying to learn airbending.
Because she's Aang's descendant, right?
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
the next
So
one in line
assuming
right
there's,
after Aang.
so assuming that so is he's still the only Airbender?
No, no, he had children, and then
Oh,
yeah, and
okay.
then his one of his sons was an airbender, and he mastered it, and then he had 3 children that
Four.
know airbending. No, 3.
Well, they had a baby, remember?
Janora, Iki, and Milo.
And then the
Those
little
are.
baby.
Little
Oh,
baby
okay,
airbender.
but we don't know whether that baby is an airbender or not. But
Gotta
yeah, okay. So the first season, she's learning airbending, and and then like the second one, what's the second season? I know the third
The second
season.
season is her trying to close the or open slash close the spirit portal.
No, that's 3. I
Oh,
just
that's
watched.
3.
Second one is with oh she does the pro bending thing, or was that one?
That was season
That
1.
was one.
Season 1's with the bloodbender.
Yeah. Fuck. I just watched them too. It's like,
Hold on.
oh yeah, yeah, no, yeah, you're right. 2 is the spirit one, and then 3
just
is by
watch
far,
the guy.
yeah. So 3 is my favorite. It's got the red lotus. So and they're all prisoners, and they're all like special benders, I guess. Like you got the airbender, the evil airbender that somehow there's a whole bunch of airbenders that
When do they connect their
don't really
tails and fly through the forest?
what?
Not Avatar, that movie.
Oh. But yeah, 3's my favorite because it's got the red lotus. It's got the airbender. I forget his name. Starts with a K, I think. But and then it's got the water bender with no arms. That's cool. And then it's got the lava bender, and then the combustion bender with the eye on her forehead.
And they have
Brings
the
back that one.
then they have the pipe bender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
No, his name is just Bender. That's
the road,
Futurama.
the
That's,
road vendor, and
that's a whole different.
oh, okay.
It's Flexo.
I'm in the middle of the 4th season, but it's great because I haven't watched it so long. I forget kind of like what happens. So it's like almost watching it brand new again.
There you go.
All right. Tim,
All
did
right,
you
so-
talk about what you watched, or was I just?
I mean, I'm watching same as always. Family Guy, American Dad.
He's watching the same
Oh,
stuff.
okay. Nothing new, but the
Last
Food
action film.
Wars had a new episode. I still need to watch.
you need to watch.
Which, if
the
anybody
Lower
is
Decks.
looking for, okay, I will. Anybody looking for like an anime to watch? Food Wars is fantastic.
Oh, I thought this was like the cooking channel or something. The food
It's
channel.
no,
Food
no,
Wars.
Is
no,
food,
no.
food? Is it food or
Food.
Food?
FOOD Wars.
that's? So it's a.
It's
It's not a cooking
definitely.
show.
It is a cooking show.
Oh, God.
An
But
anime
it's,
cooking
but it's
show.
anime.
And I will say that it is
It's a cartoon cooking show.
R rated.
Chris
I
is
actually-
having like a moment,
actually-
like, what?
Are you
I would-
freaking kidding
I
me?
would say that it is X rated.
Oh.
Oh, so they eat ass.
What?
So, so what it essentially is the
What's this on?
I remember I was gonna Bo told me to watch it and I was like, this is gonna be stupid. It's gonna be the dumbest show ever. It's just a cooking show.
What stream is this on?
Crunchyroll. It's where I watch all my anime. It might be on Hulu
Food
too.
Wars.
'cause
It
Hulu.
is anime. Shogu.
Yeah.
Shogu.
Shokugeki no Soma. Shokugeki no Soma. Shokugeki is like their.
Shogugeki.
It's like a kitchen battle. It's that's like their name for.
So it's like the Iron Chef.
So yes, there are times when it is like the Iron Chef, but so like somebody will like cook something and it'll be the way they show how good the food is they go to a little funny obviously it's animated, but a funny so in the first episode the guy serves the girl calamari or like squid, peanut butter
jeez.
squid.
Oh, we
Squid
know
is
where this is
good.
going with tentacles.
Peanut butter squid, and it is so gross that normally the ingredients will, and the person. It's so hard to talk about this without with PG words.
Are they
Uh,
30-minute episodes?
They're 22-minute episodes. They're 21-minute episodes.
24 episodes.
I would-
Season.
I would just go watch. Oh, well, the first season's 24, second season's 12, third season's 24, fourth season's
The
12.
show's been out for
fifth.
5 years.
It's so good. Go watch the first episode.
I'm pulling it up right now.
Watch the first episode. I watched the first episode and I was hooked.
We just turned Chris into a weeb.
Well, welcome, Chris.
I'm so interested in this.
We
stuff.
we
Well-
welcome you with open arms.
Go watch the first episode. Not only did it like, it kind of makes me want to become a better chef. Honestly, it wants me to, because they'll like almost spell out these recipes for you, so that way somebody could make them if they were so inclined, but not word for word. I don't know. It's great. Just go watch the show. Just go watch the show. Go
I've
watch
got it pulled up. I'll have to watch it.
Let me know when you get to. You'll know. You'll know.
I'll watch it up until there's a race on this afternoon at 3. So I'll watch it up till then.
All right,
That's
boys.
good.
We have anything else to talk about, or we about?
No, just are we going to end it with Mr.
Yeah.
Bozeman?
Oh yeah.
Ugh.
So I kind of forgot, but not really. As all of us do know, Chadwick Boseman passed away on what's that?
Yesterday?
Friday night.
Friday,
Friday
night.
night. Of colon cancer at the age of 42,
3?
43.
43.
Known for the movie 42 about Jackie Robinson, and of course Black Panther. He was He was really just coming out and doing it into his own kind of.
Yeah, he started. Yeah, between Black Panther and his I mean, he came out with 21 Bridges last year, and which is more amazing is he did all this while he was sick, and I'm sure he was doing chemo and radiation, and having watched someone go through chemo and radiation, I can't imagine doing the work that he did, physicality, while he was in probably doing treatments. It makes him more amazing of an individual. But yeah, he just started coming into his own, and I think we would have seen more
Great movies.
Great movie, action. I can see him as an action kind of like what is his name? Denzel Washington's son, John David Washington.
But he could also do like, I mean, I don't want to stereotype him to the best, but Will Smith. He's like pretty much he was pretty much Will Smith. He could do funny things. He could do serious things. He could do action things.
And that's why I was comparing him to John David Washington. That's Denzel Washington's son. He did Black Klansman. He was in Ballers with The Rock. So it was they had that, they were on that same path. And John David Washington's in Tenet, which comes out next week. So I could really see Chadwick Boseman going in that same direction. Like you said, he could probably do anything. So gone too soon, obviously.
Agreed.
All right. Tim, you want to take us out?
Oh, yeah. I need to write this down so I remember it.
You saved the
know.
best, so.
Yeah, I do. Come back to podcast, and you'll never ever wonder who's your nerds.
There we go.
And we totally
I
didn't
switched it
tell
up.
people where to go.
Hey,
See
they should know
everyone next
already,
week.
okay?
But we didn't tell anybody to go check us out on all of our channels.
Go check us
Yeah.
out on Facebook, on Twitter, on I don't even know if we're on Instagram,
We're not
on
on Instagram.
and some other platforms. You're gonna have to find your nerds, but once you find your nerds, you'll never wonder who's your nerds. Okay, I promise you that.
Like,
Like
subscribe,
Spotify,
hit the bell.
iTunes,
Spotify, iTunes,
TuneIn.
TuneIn, and YouTube.
Grinder,
Hey,
Tinder.
whoa, whoa, whoa.
Way.
Chris is taking us somewhere dark.
You can just find Chris on.
What was it?
Grindr.
Need
Everyone have a good week.